I'm going to be showing you all today the basics of how to trim a Scottie head. When you're just beginning and you haven't done this before, a good thing to do is to do it by number. It's sort of like paint by number. So I devised a system by which we're going to do it step by step. Your picture that's in your notebook, which looks like this, has numbers. And I follow those numbers as I go along. The first thing I'm going to show you are some of the basic tools. We use a clipper, which comes with varying size blades, depending on what you're trimming. And I'll show you those as I go along. We use several kinds of scissors to do the fine trimming, like the edges of the ears. And I like a slicker brush because it pulls the hair forward and gives you a nice appearance. All right. The first thing we do is we will clip the neck in the shaded areas on your picture. Now, a lot of people don't know where that starts and it ends. But a Scottie is equipped with a series of points. If you follow those points, you should be able to determine where you're going to use the clippers. If you start with the outside edge of the ear and you come forward to the outside corner of the eye, look underneath here and you'll find a little mole with a whisker in it. And you can see that the head is cleared up to there with the clippers. It's kept short. From this point here, if you turn the dog this way and you go up under here, you'll find another little mole with a whisker. And generally we clip up to there, that point. When we go on this other side, it's the same thing. We come up to this other little mole, up to the outside corner of the ear, and that's the basic part of the head. Now, we also clipper on the neck. A Scottie has hair that grows in two different directions. The neck hair comes this way. The back of the neck comes this way, and the other hair grows up this way. And if you look, it forms a colic. We generally clip up to the colic, into the colic. And you'll feel that. You can feel the way the hair is growing there. And when the hair starts to grow this way, you stop with your clippers. Okay? Then you come down. Now, with the front, from, you follow down the colic, which goes sort of back off the shoulder this way. And from that point, you come down into this depression here, this way, up to the chest bone here. You'll feel the point of the chest bone, breastbone, down into here. You see how I have this, and up to here, and literally when you look at it, what letter does that make? Makes a W. And then back up the colic on the side here. You can see how that hair grows two different ways. Okay, that's the basic clippering of the neck. The only other thing on the head that's clippered are the backs of the ears. We want to clipper the backs of the ears. They should be, according to the standard, the hair should be short and velvety. Okay? In England, they clipper the top of the head for a show dog. In the U.S., we strip this. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is clip this area. And I'm going to use an 8, a 10, or a 15 blade. If the dog hasn't been clippered in a long, long time, you would use a smaller number. The smaller the number, the less close the cut. The larger the number, the closer the cut. For example, a 40 is a surgical blade. And then we go down from that. 40 to 30 to 15 to 10 to 8.5. And then if the dog's back is clippered, you use a 5 or a 7. Some people use a 40, a surgical blade, on the back of the ear. Generally, I use a 30. But if the dog hasn't been clippered in a long time, you'll find that even a 10 blade will just bald it. And the more that this area is clippered, the thicker the hair grows. So a dog that hasn't ever been clippered before, like a puppy, you might only use a 10 blade. As he gets older, you might graduate to a 15. And if you have a very thick, heavy coat, you may go right in this area to a 30. But you'll have to judge that for yourself, depending on how close it cuts. But you really don't want it to look bald. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is clipper this area. Yes?
On your show dogs, do you hand strip the neck area?
No.
Before you clip it? No?
I don't strip this area. No. Now, some of the old-timers said the dog should be entirely stripped. This hair is very hard to take out, and it's a very sensitive area. I've never had a judge question that. Besides the fact that I think you get a smoother look when it's clippered. You get a rougher look, and the judges seem to prefer a smoother, slicker look. So I'm going to start with the 30 blade, and I'm going to clip this area in here.
Now you're starting with the 30 because you've got a rough.
This is very thick, and he's been clippered many times. So I'm going to use a 30 in this area. And you see, it really doesn't bald it, but it makes it very short. Now, I wouldn't do this, I probably wouldn't cut it this close the night before the show. I'd probably do this 2 or 3 days before the show. Okay, in this area, I come back against the grain. The reason being is that the dog's head is supposed to be, when you're finished, it's supposed to give the impression of a long cylinder, like a cannon. A little bit thicker up here, but you don't want it pointed, and you don't want it really broad up here. It should be a long, narrow head, but not so narrow that it doesn't have a brain. We want, you know, a good skull, but you want to give the impression of smoothness. All right, so you cut this area nice and short, and that makes the sides of the head look more narrow here. And then the beard gives it the cylinder look. You fill it in with the beard. Oh, you sometimes have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It depends on how hard they play. Okay. Now I'm going to use a 30 in this area here. And I come right up to the little mole and to the corner of the mouth, up in there. You'll have to play with it yourself and just basically, yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't want to dig with the clipper. Let the clipper do the work. Mm-hmm. Let the clipper flow across, and you won't have to dig with it. The only reason you would have to dig with it is if your blade was dull.
Yeah.
If your blades are dull, do get them sharpened. Mm-hmm. There's a really nice place. I can give you information later. Okay, I use a 30 there. Now I'm going to switch to a 15 for the rest of the neck area because his hair grows the thickest here. Again, I'm coming down and against the grain on the sides. And you see the colic? You see how that hair comes forward? Now, at this point here, you'll notice that the hair, grows downward. At this point here, I do not go against the grain. I go in. I blend. I don't want this so naked and then a lot of hair here. So I really want it to blend. So once I get down this far and I'm starting into the W, I go with the grain. But I don't come back against the shoulder. This I'm going to do separately with a stripping tool. Okay? So I'm going to come in there like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, right into the W. But in the center, I'm going to come up against the grain because I want a nice looking smooth throat. It blends. And then I will bring the clipper all the way up under here, like this, right up to where the beard grows. Now, if you're nervous about this point here, you can always come in and take those fuzzies off with a scissor if you're afraid you're going to take too much beard. Because if the dog yanks its head, you may take off a big chunk of beard. So you can always come under, just pull the beard forward, and you can always come under and take those little hairs out with a scissor. Clean that up. Now the idea of this is that when you see the dog's profile, it should look very smooth here.
I once had my dog groomed by my normal person, and they left about this much beard right off the bat.
I don't know. Probably should have taken it off. Some people don't understand. Now, if you leave too much hair under here, when the dog is standing, I think I can show you this. If you leave too much beard here, like say you have all this beard here, you don't have that pretty, it's not going to look pretty. You won't see the neck. No, you won't see this, it'll mask the neck. It'll also make the head look shorter and less cylindrical. So you really want this nice cylindrical look. So you really want it clean under there. See? Okay. Now the next thing I do, since I'm using the clippers anyway, is I'll put the 30 back on. And I'm going to trim the back of the ear. Now, depending on how much hair grows on the back of your dog's ear and how thick, you would use a 15 or a 30. Some you may even want to use a 10. Never go this way because you can catch the ear leather and nick it, and it'll bleed like crazy. But if you always come away this way, it's almost impossible to catch the ear leather. So always come from the base of the ear forward in this manner, this way. And if you have to, put your thumb underneath. Put your thumb underneath this way, or your fingers, and come right off the tip this way.
I think one of them's mine.
Okay. All right. Is there any questions on that?
Tell me again the lines here that you use.
Mm-hmm.
I know you start at the base.
I started right here because it's easier. Notice I go in, I kind of scoop out a little bit in front of the ear here.
Middle of the mold, maybe, or?
Yeah. I take that out, basically. And then instead of making it absolutely straight, I kind of curve it up into here. Okay. Then I come to the, it depends on the dog, but you'll notice that when you look down on the dog's head, if this is cleaned up to here, your skull will look narrow. If you have a lot of hair hanging off the side, your head will look broader. And most judges look down on a dog. So that as you look down on the dog's head, you see where I didn't trim here versus where I've trimmed here? Can you see how much that would narrow the head to take it out a little bit up into here?
Yeah.
This is a finer grooming point.
Narrower.
Well, you don't want the dog's head to look like this. You want it to look like this.
So if you have a dog with a clunkier head, then you can trim it a little more.
Yes.
And if you have a dog with a refined head, then
Yes, you can leave a little more. Exactly. Each head is different. But the basic lines would be from here to the corner, the outside corner of the eye. And now notice I've left a little here. I'm going to do that with a scissor. I'm not going to clip all the way up. I'm going to just do that with a scissor. I don't like to come too close to the corner of the eye with my clipper. Yeah, half to a quarter. And then, but I come all the way underneath, and you'll notice that you can see how I clean the mole off. Up under to the mole here, and I usually come a little bit in front of that mole. Come up to here, right to the, you can feel the extra of the jaw. Okay, no any more questions?